Hey guys, it's Mike from We Are the Batman here. Just want to let you know we have a new website you guys can go to. Just go to podpage.com/We Are the Batman. That's podpage.com/We Are the Batman. You can get all of our episodes there, get a little more information about us, and most importantly, you can leave us reviews and you can leave us comments and messages, send us questions and episode ideas, and you can even leave us voicemails. All these great tools are on the website. Head over to podpage.com/We Are the Batman. We always love to hear from you guys. Head on over there now and check it out. Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. My name is Mike.
And this is Scott Free.
It's so good. That's one of the best comic book names ever. Because we are today, we're doing a comic review that Matt requested. Said, "Hey, let's do it. Here's a book. Read it." And I was like, "All right." We're gonna review the Tom King run of Mr. Miracle. Yeah, you picked this one. I'm gonna let you. We'll kick things off just since you picked it. Tell the folks at home a little bit about this book.
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. So it's a 12-issue maxi series written by Tom King, directed by Mitch Gerads, drawn by Mitch Gerads.
Yeah.
And see, Scott Free has been the kind of like a sub character. He's never, I think he's had his own. Back in the day, Jack Kirby gave every single character he created their own series, but he hadn't been in the forefront in a long time. And near the end of New 52, as Rebirth starts happening, they do this book, and it is essentially Mr. Miracle, Scott Free, is the first page is he's committed suicide. He slit his wrists, he's on the floor of his bathroom, and the rest of the story is him dealing with that decision. Was he trying to escape death by committing suicide? Did he actually succeed? And the thing of it is that the PTSD of his existence being traded as a young baby to Darkseid, and his father, High Father, getting Orion, being raised at different places. It's just this weird kind of exploration of not only, like, I don't want to say mental illness, because he's not really mentally ill per se. It's just the trauma he's been through has now driven him to where he is. And just watching people react to it and the different things he deals with. Because, I didn't say this the other day, but I think, like, sometimes you don't think about, like, yeah, just because you have PTSD or you have some kind of mental illness, like, it doesn't mean you're not a parent or you're not a superhero or you're not a husband. Like, it doesn't just like, I'm cured, everything's fine, I'm going to be the best that there is at all these things. It just becomes you dealing with that, and everybody deals with that differently. And that's what the story is about. It's like Big Barda seems to just gloss over it and continue on without asking any questions about what's happening or why he did it. His brother Orion deals with it differently, but it's just an exploration of this, I would say, year in his life. It has to be, because baby comes out. So at least a year of his life post committing suicide. And I don't know if we want to get into it now about how much of this is actually real.
Yeah. This is one of those things, kind of like it, I think we talked about this off mic, but like, it gives me like the more recent runs of Moon Knight vibes, that idea of not being super sure what is happening and what's in the imagination. That kind of mental illness side of things, because he's definitely suffering from PTSD and probably some kind of identity crisis. You see a lot of that in those runs of Moon Knight as well. So that's the kind of like cerebral storytelling I really enjoy in a comic book, where it really just kind of makes you go like, but what if?
Yeah.
And spinning off from there. So yeah, I've read it like 3-4 times now, and every time I do, I come away with like another reasoning for why I think it might be this or might be that. It's so well done in that way.
Well, and like, if you're a big DC fan, there's this one character. He appears I believe in the third or fourth issue, and then he appears a few times after that. Once Metron gets involved,
Mhm.
keeper of time and space, you know something's wrong. Big time wrong.
Yeah.
So,
Metron's not a character that shows up a lot, and when he does, guys, everything stops. We talk to this guy. If he's here, something's wrong.
yeah. Like it's like the Loki series. What is it? TFA? Is that what they're called?
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine the TFA was one dude, and that's Metron.
Yeah. That's that's an excellent metaphor. Yeah. Um, well, let's do this. So I don't like to end negatively. I don't I like to just kind of get it out of the way. So I thought let's what are the cons we had here? What are the things here that we just maybe not necessarily were bad or it just didn't satisfy us the way we wanted them to. You're the more experienced one with this book. So what would you say yours are?
I think one of my cons is not really a con. It's more of like, huh, I wonder if that's what's going on, and that it isn't. Is I'm not sure. I mean, look, if anybody knows anything about this book, we're trying not to give away spoilers. I know
Yeah.
hopefully people who are listening to this have read it, but also people who are new readers. But halfway through the thing, they have a baby.
Right.
And at the beginning of the story, Darkseid is dead.
Mhm.
So there was a good 2 or 3 issues where I thought that baby was going to be Darkseid reincarnated.
Yeah, I that was where my it was the first place my brain went when I got to that part.
Yeah, because
Um,
throughout every issue, you have a moment of somebody saying Darkseid is. Sometimes it's Darkseid in a nightmare, in a dream, maybe a reality. Sometimes it's other people saying it. So you just have this moment of like, is like that's where you get into like, okay, is this baby like a reincarnation? Is he coming back? That was what I thought, and that ends
yeah,
up not being the case.
true.
Spoiler, but that, and then I know about the New Gods, but I
Mhm,
haven't read a lot of the comics. I know Orion is supposed to be pretty gruff,
mhm.
but man, he's just a prick in this series beyond what he usually is, in my opinion. And I
Yeah,
don't know if that's because it's all told from Scott Free's perspective. It's Scott Free's mind, whether it's inside or outside or whatever. Maybe that's just how he views Orion.
yeah.
And that was one of those weird moments. I was like, that's kind of weird that he's
No,
that
I
rough.
had the same feeling. Like I like Orion's a hard ass, but he's a dutiful hard ass. It's like he's doing it, he acts a certain way, the sternness, um, because he has to for the sake of the job. In this book, he's just not a good guy. Um, and I
Yeah.
don't know if some of that is like, I almost wonder, is like, is there like a companion series to this that shows like that explores Orion's inner turmoil, or is or kind of like to your point, I actually had not considered that. Is this just Scott because it's from Scott's perspective? Um, but it's yeah, it was just the characterization of Orion was not my favorite. It's not the way I like my Orion typically, but also like you, like I've read some New God stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna sit here and pretend to be an expert about it though.
Yeah. I think that was the only thing. And then there's just like, it's really just you get to that point where like I really just want somebody to tell me what's going on.
Yeah, I get that. That's I honestly it's like the ending of Inception. Like, you know, like there are times where that kind of ambiguity to the whole thing is fun and entertaining, but when it starts being something that everyone does, and granted, this I believe uh, predates Inception, doesn't it?
No, no, no.
No.
Inception's like early 2010s.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Shit. God, I'm
I don't
old.
know. I don't know when. Please, please.
But I don't. But either way, like it's just one of those. It's like I have seen this kind of thing done before, so it is a little familiar. But also, I've seen it done before so many times because it's a good story model.
Yeah,
Um, I think the one thing I'll say is like the times where it's definitely like pushing the limits of being outrageous, of like, oh, this is him having a moment or something before he snaps back. I found there was a couple of times in the book where those felt either a little too short or too long before we moved on.
Yeah.
Not always, but every once in a while it was kind of like, you know what? I feel like that one could have been a little bit long. Like if it was going to be that short, why do it at all? Or this one, or a couple of them were like, are we still in the thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But that it happens rarely. Like at this point, I'm nitpicking.
Well, and I think Tom King, he, I like this, and I liked what he did with Grayson, but there's some of his other titles that he draws it out way too long.
Yeah.
So I think, given that this is a maxi series and it was probably planned out, every issue is this way. Like you almost like that. I think it's like issue 9 or 10
Mm,
after his verdict has been made, the trial he goes on with Orion, and then um, they're like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah. You have 3 days or whatever." I think that issue after that of them exploring their relationship, that
mhm.
would probably been earlier because that's before the baby. But that issue, like,
Yeah.
almost is too long.
Yeah.
I have that moment where I'm like, okay, I think I'm done here, and then the issue ends, and the next issue is something completely different. And I
Yeah.
think that's where um I think Tom King does a good job with that, but there's a couple times where you're like, okay, let's get past this. But yeah, it's I that's probably like you said. I think I'm nitpicking at this point.
Yeah. Because here's the thing about Tom King. I like Tom King for the most part. I haven't read everything he's ever written, but most of what I've read, I've enjoyed. This to me is by far my favorite thing I've read of his. I
Yes.
have not yet read the Supergirl run that he did, that I know James Gunn is working off of now for their movie for Supergirl. We know Tom King is with that writers group. Um, but what I've read for the most part, I very much enjoyed. Like I said, this is definitely my favorite. I find Tom King at times, I think his writing definitely works for um like something like this, or like, the Supergirl run is described as kind of a space epic. Like that kind of thing is definitely what I think he's best suited for. I think he at times is trying to be like the next Frank Miller, or Alan Moore, one of those kind of like the longer form storytellers. And I think he just hasn't quite figured out the recipe yet. But I feel like that's what he's trying. That's the kind of thing he's trying to write, and hasn't quite done the homework yet.
Well, and I think he's also trapped in the modern comic in that a lot of comics now, it's not a 6 issue story arc. It's not a
Yeah,
2 issue story arc. It's a 15 issue story arc. It's a 2 year story arc.
yeah. You're
Speak.
writing something with the intent of putting it out as a trade, because trades typically sell better these days
Yeah.
because you can just get it all at once.
So that's where but beyond that, like I think well, we'll get into pros in a second. I said
Yeah,
other cons. I think the only other con I could maybe come up with, and it's this is again nitpicking.
yeah,
I love the 9 panel narrative of every single page,
yeah.
but every so often I'm just like, all right, let's break this.
Yeah, can we get a like, or a splash page or something? There aren't a lot of those
No, not
in
at
this
all.
one. Pretty much, I think whenever you get to an issue separation is where they do
Yeah.
it.
I know it kind of helps the beat of that, but there's ever so often that I'm like, I would, because it looks good and it like when it's dialogue or it's conversations or it's things, but there's some of the action that I'm like it's so small because of
Yeah,
panel to panel. I'm like, I really wish I could have been a little more in this, but again, I think that's also the action guy in me. That's not the story they're telling, but that would be
right.
my thing.
No, that totally makes sense. Because also I feel like they were trying to tell a lot of story here, and they tell a lot of story here. And so I think they were even using the action sequences as vessels for the plot. Like, yeah, we got to do some action, but we're also going to find a way to work some of the story into the action, because like we got a lot to get through.
Yeah.
That's why you go for that 9 panel format as opposed to like the 8 or 6 you see nowadays, sometimes 4.
Yeah.
And so I can see how that would be a good, because we talk about all the time with things like like the Batman. It's like, it's not that it's a bad, people don't like the movie. It's just that this is not their type of Batman.
Yeah.
This isn't they don't, the detective side of stuff isn't really their thing. They kind of like the gadgets, and that's, which is totally fair. Mr. Miracle, though, is one of those characters. It's like this kind of storytelling with him, when you're really delving into the New God stuff, is where I think he's best. And that, I think, is going to take us kind of into the pros here, of which, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. With Mitch Gerads' art is stellar
Yes.
in this book, whether it's the cover. I mean, the cover art's incredible, but like the way they almost give things like a 70s TV feel to it, and just all around excellent character shaping and shading, and the art just looks spectacular in this.
Yeah, and Mr. Miracle's costume is not the coolest costume. It's kind of a weird, funky,
Yeah.
crazy, and the fact that when they go to Apocalypse and now everything is like that monochromatic red, and it changes how dark his suit looks, I think that is cool as all get out. We talked about it on the phone. Is like, how did he draw Big Barda looking like a normal woman but still sexy as all get out?
Yeah.
And
because usually when you look at a comic book woman in particular, the proportions are
unrealistic.
They're inhuman.
Yeah.
Like you look at some of the, especially in the 90s. Love you, Grant Morrison, but man, in the 90s, not that Grant Morrison did the art, but like Grant Morrison's JLA run, it's like Wonder Woman might as well be naked.
Yeah.
In some of these, and also the human body can't shape like that. So yeah, there's something about Mitch Gerads' art where, like, Barda, who is a very sexy comic book character, he makes her look like an average woman, and kind of like in some way manages to show, like, here's how a normal average woman is still sexy.
Yeah. She doesn't need big boobs and super big hips and
Yeah.
to be the. I love Jim Lee's work, but he draws women a certain way, and that's not what this story needed, nor
Yeah.
did it require, with the ability that Mitch had with the drawing the way he did across the board, all the characters. Darkseid has never looked more menacing, especially when he's eating a carrot.
That was a choice, and I love the choice. Like, so they committed to the decision on that, and brava.
I never knew I needed to see that, but I'm so glad I did.
It's like this wasn't something I was missing, but I'm glad I have it. Yeah. It's go ahead. No, sorry.
No, I think, like, to kind of go to the writing of Tom King is, I'm very limited writing myself as far as comic books. I'm not going to say I'm this big grand person.
Writing for comics is not easy, kids.
No, but like, it's a realistic relationship. It's a realistic love. It's a realistic thing. And that's where I think this thing excels, is like, I enjoyed the Moon Knight before Jeff Lemire, where we knew he was crazy. He had the Mr. Knight persona, the Moon Knight persona. He was Mark Spector. And then when they leaned into, like, he's literally in a sane asylum, blah, blah, yaggity schmaggity, it kind of went off for me. But it's because, like, I didn't want to dwell in that.
Okay.
But what I liked about this is, like, they don't dwell in it, because a lot of people do what Big Barda does. Is like, he slashes his wrists in their bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
She's there at the hospital. She takes him home. She asks him why, and then it never comes up again for several issues. And I feel like that's a realistic portrayal of how people get with this kind of stuff. Is like, I don't know what to do, but I love you, and I'm going to stand by you, even as you have obviously fallen apart. And, like, she, I think, says it at one point, is like, well, you were leaving me too. Like, and I think that there's a realism to what they were doing. Now, do I talk about remodeling my house while attacking, a castle? It's been a while since I attacked a castle. It was before I was married. But now that I'm married, if I attacked a castle when my wife was with me, I'm sure we would have talked about things like that. but I think that their relationship is so strong, so real in the things they do discuss, the things they don't discuss, and just the way they treat each other that I it's my favorite part of the book. I can't say enough how amazing he made that relationship.
Their love felt so real. Not just real as in strong, but like you've ever been around a couple who's been together forever, your parents, your grandparents, your best friend and his wife, whatever, and you see those couples who've just been together forever that it's all every day there is just another day where he's losing his mind and can't tell if the shower's on or off, and she's telling him, and she's just kind of like, what, look, this is another day of this, like this is what it is. I love the man, I'm here for the bad. The way that, like you said, like, yeah, when they're out there in combat, that's work for them. So yeah, they're chatting about home stuff uh while they're killing dudes, because it's like, you know what, we got to talk about it sometime.
Yeah,
um
we've got to figure out where to put this baby.
yeah, it's well, and you mentioned how, like, yeah, their relationship is so well explored, and I 100% agree. It is absolutely the best part of this book. The whole book is kind of about relationships. It's about
Yeah.
the relationship between Orion and Scott, and and their fathers, and them and Granny, and even the relationship just between the new gods and the old gods, like Dark Side and I almost said All Father,
Hi, Father.
High Father, thank you. um Marvel and DC rip each other off all the time, kids.
Yes.
um uh the whole book is just about relationships, on top of Scott's whole thing. um and I think that's a great, I love when they can talk about these kind of real world, you feel seen, you've been in this relationship, you feel seen in this book, and it's harder and harder every day to relate to superheroes sometimes. And so to be able to find these two people who are actually gods and make them relatable through their interpersonal relationships, it speaks to the writing in this book.
Yes, and then you like here's where I'm gonna get into a little bit of if you want to like not do this on air,
Okay.
say so. But like, okay, I have to ask you:
Okay.
was Granny Goodness going to help them?
I genuinely don't know. I genuinely do not know. I have gone back and forth on that so much. I do not know. It's she, because there's a lot of Granny Goodness in this book, more than I think I've ever actually read.
Yeah,
And great, she's been portrayed so many different ways in animation, over the years, and she's always kind of portrayed the same way in every version, which is fine. Um, to see so much of that, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, actual sweet Granny Goodness
yeah,
side versus what we usually see, which is just a sweet old lady who's ready to rip your head off. Um, so it was kind of hard for me to come together on it, because it's like, I don't know if I've had this much Granny Goodness before, and I genuinely don't know how to feel.
yeah. Like when he tells the story, like, "Oh, well, she took me out of the machine sooner than she needed to," and you're like, "Bro, she shouldn't have put you in there in the first place."
Yeah,
I don't
like,
know if that's
cool. She apologized. It's like she did a bad thing and then stopped doing the bad thing. Like, it's like
yeah.
you don't get points for doing the bare minimum. I mean,
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, that kind of that was the one that really got me. Like of all the things that happened, the
yeah,
Granny Goodness one, I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know how to feel about this. It's like my emotions about the Flash right now. It's like I don't know how to feel. So yeah, I just I it was just such a great, because as like I said, you recommended this to me. I've spent very little time with the new gods and the old gods. So like, other than Orion and Darkseid, there I didn't know a whole lot about the other characters in this book. And
Yeah.
so it was really cool for me because usually when I'm reading, I'm living in Gotham City or wherever the hell John Constantine is getting laid this week. That's what the kind of stuff I read. Um, to spend this much time in the world of Apocalypse and the new gods and the old gods, it was really kind of refreshing for me because it kind of made me realize in all my years of reading DC Comics, I how much I haven't actually read with this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those like, do I want to go back and pick up some of the New God stuff and read it? But then I've read some of Jack Kirby's older stuff. And
Yeah.
outside of his Captain America stuff, man, that dude goes bonkers with stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and his Captain America is a thing. Um
Hey,
it's
watch
fine.
yourself.
It's
Watch
not my
yourself.
it's not my Captain America in the comics, not in my top 5.
Okay. Okay.
Just he's fine. It's just in the comics he gets a little silly even for me.
Oh,
Um
there's one. It was like he's like attacking some Hydra compound. And I'm not even kidding. There's like 3 pages, like 6 panels a page.
yeah.
And of those 18 panels, he is kicking somebody in the face and like 20 of them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like, and because it's like pre-martial arts being a thing, it's just like a stomp. It is just like Captain America's just stomping dudes in the face this entire run. I love it.
For America.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know how the hell we got here.
Jack Kirby, New Gods, reading more of it.
Yeah. This does kind of make me want to go read some other New God stuff. It really, and that is impressive. Like to be 34 years old now and still like have somebody introducing something new to me in comics
Yeah.
is great because like the most I've read of any New God stuff is just when it crossed over like with the JLA in the 90s or something like that. So this is a kind of a realm in DC that is fairly untouched for me. And if there's more of it out there that's half as good as this, then I'm absolutely into it. Um let's you got something else you want to say or
No, I just really had that weird moment of like, I forgot to do a little bit of homework on like, I don't know if Scott Free comes back after this. I don't know if he's in any of the new stuff because
oh
there's another Mr. Miracle book, but I think it's a completely different character. And I say that because he's black, so I'm assuming he's different. But
right.
I'm also not 100% on that either.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question, actually. I guess we'll have to read some more.
Guess we're gonna be reading some more stuff.
I guess we're going to be reading some more Mr. Miracle. So ultimately, like final recommendation. I mean, yeah, like read this. This is an excellent read if you've been away from comics a little bit or just looking for something kind of different. This is a Batman show. Highly recommend this Mr. Miracle run by Tom King. I mean, it won the Eisner Award and well deserved. This is exemplary comic book writing. Absolutely, like this is one that's going to end up getting dog-eared because this is one I'm going to go back to again and again, just like this is so good.
Yes, yes. I can't recommend this enough for all the different reasons. Like it's good writing, the action's there, the storytelling's there. The whole, like I said, like, is this real? Is it not? I think I've read it 5 times. I think I've read it 5 times, and I still can't say. I think the time before this last time I read it before this, I think by the end of it, I went, okay, it's another dimension, and that's why Mentron does what he does at the end.
Yeah,
But I'm still not sure.
I still don't know. Did the top fall down or did it keep spinning? I don't know. Yeah, and I it's just the mark of a guy again. Like I can't say enough about just how good Tom King's writing in this is. I mean, I was so hooked like from jump. You look at this, you guys can't see this on camera because we're not putting up a video of this, but like this I mean, you look at how bright and pretty and colorful and hopeful this cover art is. And now, granted, with this book, there's a little prelude section in there as well. But when you get to the first actual issue, Yeah, it's a dude in a goofy costume on the floor of a bathroom with attempting suicide.
Yeah,
Um, and it just picks up and goes from there. So it's just such a there's it's great action, it's great storytelling, great characterization. The artwork is incredible, just all around the board. It's absolutely recommended.
definitely, definitely.
Well, hey, if you've read this, we'd love to hear what you guys think about it. So you can let us know, or if you have some other books you'd like to recommend to us that we could read next to get more in on this. It's super easy to do that. Go to our website, podpage.com/we are the Batman. You can contact us through there, send us a message. If you've got an episode idea, a recommendation, a question, you can even leave us a voicemail and we'll play it and listen to it and react to it. Matt, where else can the people talk to us if they would like to?
You can find us at www.facebook.com/group/fanboy junction with a K.
You can also find the show on Twitter at We Are the Batman. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me at Mr. J Ninja.
That's going to do it for this week, guys. We'll see you again next time. Same bat
Same bat
Same
time,
bat time,
same bat
same
channel.
podcast. Yeah. We're done, guys.
Have a nice one, people.